Welcome back into the Enrichment Sports Source. On behalf of all the folks at Tennova Healthcare, all their team, I know they want each and every one of you to have a wonderful holiday season. And I personally am happy to announce that Tennova will be with us again, found out this week, with us again through all of 2014, every month, year-round. That means I need to not only thank Tennova for sticking with us for their third year, but I need to thank you. I mean, we got so many clients on this show that just stay with us month after month, year after year, because of you. If you weren't watching the show, if you weren't visiting our sponsors, that wouldn't happen. Owe this thing to you. You, in terms of George Bailey, you've made me the richest man in town. And not in terms of cash, but in terms of people watching the show. I do appreciate it. All right. As we continue, everybody in this segment is going to get their own question. The other guys can jump in if you got a major disagreement or something funny to add. Here we go. Chuck, this first question is for you. Like Ralphie in A Christmas Story, what UT athlete in 2013 left most Vol fans saying fudge? Only Ralphie didn't say fudge. Who was the most frustrating Vol athlete, football or basketball, this year?
Football or basketball, I mean, to me that's a tough question. The one that comes to mind, and I know it's early, is Jerron Mayman. Because all of last year you did not have him, and that was like the missing piece to the puzzle of Tennessee going to be better. And now he's back, and he's clearly not as good as what he was when he left. And he's playing below the rim. And it doesn't look like that's going to get appreciably better, and that's one reason Tennessee's struggling.
I don't know about you guys. I wouldn't go Mayman because I think his is a physical issue.
I'd go his buddy partner. Stokes. Yeah, that's the one that jumps out.
He's not the one that sat out a year and had a knee injury.
No, but Stokes is still good for a lot of double-doubles. I mean, even though it may be frustrating, he's getting 10 points, 10 rebounds at least a game many times.
But half of the rebounds are his own shots. I mean,
anyone else?
Devontae Lambert, does he count?
No. It has to be somebody on the team.
Daniel McCullers. I remember a head coach saying that this team is going to go as Daniel McCullers goes.
Right.
Gil Brandt rated him the number 4 NFL prospect going into the year. Overrated him, the number 4 guy. Right. But I thought he had a hugely disappointing season.
I think by the middle of October, everybody's just forgotten about him.
Yes.
Okay, next question is for you, Mike Strange. Clarence the Angel, there he is. Clarence the Angel saved Jimmy Stewart from himself in It's a Wonderful Life. What UT basketball player is most likely to help Conzo Martin save his own wonderful job this year?
After watching 10 games now, I'm going to say Derek Reese, because he's the only one that hadn't played, and I haven't seen any job savers out there. Seriously, I think Jordan McRae is doing all he can do. To me, if I had to take a wild card shot, it would be Antonio Barton, who I thought would be. There's just chemistry missing out there on the court, and if Antonio, a senior point guard, could somehow bring it all together, then maybe him.
At this point, you traded Golden because he was all offense, didn't play defense. Barton's defense isn't making up for the 14 or 15 points Golden would be getting you on offense, I don't think, at this point. Anybody have a different player that might save Conzo down the stretch?
I think that's a good
one.
I
think Barton is the key. And he started out pretty good. That's the thing that's a mystery, but no, I think Barton is the key.
Okay. Bob Hodge, this one's for you. Butch Jones said this week that the quarterback situation, the quarterback race is all even heading into the spring, but which quarterback or quarterbacks will likely be left behind, a la Kevin from Home Alone? Who's going to be left behind by the time next season rolls around?
I tell you what, I'm going to go for a twofer. I think both Peterman and Worley will be left behind. I think next season's going to be tough for Tennessee, and I think they might as well play the young quarterbacks that you have. Maybe if you have another young quarterback comes in the signing class, who knows? But I just don't see going back to Worley, and I think Peterman, rightfully or wrongfully, ended his shot at Tennessee down in Florida. So I think both of those guys are going to be left home alone.
Okay. In debate?
I agree with Bob. And in part, when you look at what is potentially a pretty mediocre to below average offensive line, you're going to have some mobility at quarterback. And Peterman and Worley don't bring that. Dobbs does, and I think Riley Ferguson can run it some. I agree with Bob.
Good point.
I haven't written off Justin Worley yet. I thought he was still probably their best chance to win last year when he was healthy.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to probably have 4 get hurt next year? But I mean, and I wouldn't write off Worley yet either. I think you can still do some things, but you're going to need several guys there.
Here's the thing, and no offense to Worley, but if you do wind up going back to Worley to start the season next year, I don't think that's a very good sign regarding Dobbs and Ferguson. I think if they're not ready to go, and you have to go back to Worley, I think that's something to worry about.
I agree about. Because Worley has a ceiling to me.
Yeah.
And these others maybe potentially could be better, but if you do go back to Worley, I think you're looking for another mediocre year.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Worley's the guy that beat South Carolina, so it's not, we don't sit here and bash him, but the other younger guys have more potential, I would think. All right, Jimmy, next year, college football goes to a playoff. I love that shot over there. The selection committee that will pick the teams includes a member of the Basketball Hall of Fame, a retired Air Force Lieutenant General, and Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State. Is that a nice eclectic mix or an island of misfit toys?
I'm going to go with the misfit toys. I don't like the combination that they have. I like some of the selections on there, but overall, I think you've got a mess on your hands with some of the debate that's going to be going on. I don't think you got enough, quote, football people on that panel.
Anybody?
I think those are all smart people, but you could have found X number of football smart people.
Right.
I mean, I guess they were trying their best to have somebody that's not have a bias already built in, so they went to people that.
But they all do. I mean, Condoleezza Rice has ties to Stanford.
Exactly.
The other guy was the Lieutenant General, was the head of the Air Force, so you got to think he'd go Mountain West. Bob, your thoughts on this? Is it misfit toys? Or
I think it's stupid.
It's a stupid island of misfit toys. All right, when we come back, coaches on the hot seat, Tennessee's top football player, and some fella named Gruden you might have heard of. Come on back on the Enrichment Sports Source.
Miss an episode of the Enrichment Sports Source? Catch up online at sportsource.tv.